Hello. Hi. How are ya? Well, good morning. Hello. How you going? It has been a hot little spicy minute since my last episode. I have been on hiatus, not feeling too well, so needing to take that little bit of a break. But I'm back, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about mediumship, but also signs from spirit, mainly signs from spirit, and what some of the signs are that I've received over the years, a little bit about my personal experiences with mediumship, and why do we get these signs? Why do they even show up? Why do they want us to know that they're there? Let's kick right off with the why, and that's because they want us to know that they're there. It's as simple as that. They want to get our attention. Mediumship is not something that is specially selected for the very few. I do believe that mediumship is within us all. We all have those moments of sensitivity. I do think that it just is no longer common nature. It's no longer second nature. So we have to tap into that. And there may be some out there that can just tap in a lot easier than others. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that anyone else is more superior or special than anybody else. And there's also a lot of people out there that just aren't interested, don't want to engage with mediumship, don't want to talk and connect with spirit. It's just not their jam, it's not their vibe, it's not something they're into, and that is also okay, and spirit will respect that as well. So a big part of why I wanted to talk about, the signs that we get is because that was a big part of my acceptance of mediumship. I think I've said it before, like I'm a pretty logical, literal thinker. If something kind of knocks at the door of my beliefs, I have to fully submerge myself in it. I have to research it. I have to find out the technicalities, the practicalities, everything involved with it. I am a know-it-all through and through. Not so much in the sense that I like to talk out my behind, but I'm a know-it-all in the sense that if I don't know something, I need to know about it, and I need to understand the foundations of different ways of thinking, different beliefs, any kind of anything to really broaden things out that questions my beliefs or shows up as a fact I have to look into. And my own beliefs are structured in that way, how I've come to accept, especially in, my spiritual journey and kind of scratching that surface. Anything that I've kind of formulated and accepted as a belief has come through because I have spent so much time sitting at this desk, going over everything, hearing what everybody has to say about it, and then drawing my own conclusions. It's just how I learn, it's just how I grow, and it's definitely how I accept. So for me, signs with my mediumship journey had to be, the arrogance is so thick, I'm not even going to pretend it's not. They had to be pretty significant. My poor bloody guide and my family members, I literally had my grandfathers showing up for the longest time, and I would tell them to go away. I knew it was them. I would tell them to go away because I needed something. I needed something more to accept that it was them. Like, who am I? Who do I think I am? Anyway, so they did. And when my grandmother passed, she passed a couple of years ago now, maybe 3 years ago now. Bless her heart. She didn't even muck around. She didn't even show up. And then I was sort of like, why isn't she showing up? Like, my grandfathers used to bug me all the time and show up all the time. Where's Nan? Why isn't Nan just showing up? But she knew. She was like, whoa, why would I show up? You're going to tell me to bugger off. You're going to need more from me. And she did. She came through, God love her. So I'll get on to their stories as well. But Yeah, so that's why I wanted to talk about it, because for me, as much as signs can come in any way, shape and form, I needed something pretty tangible. And that's not to say that it's going to happen like this for everybody. I think it has a lot to do with who it was that I was requesting this from. I think if I had have gone to my spirit guide Tempest and said, I need something bigger, he would have been like, get off the horse, love. But I think because it's my family and they know what I'm like, they were like, listen, if we want her to get into this mediumship stuff and fully go strong with this, we're going to have to do, something major. We're going to have to pull out the stops. The other thing, before I sort of share those stories with you, that I wanted to touch on with, seeing and accepting signs, is if you accept the sign for yourself and you know wholeheartedly where it's come from. How do you know? For one, it's that inner knowing. Like if you see something and you think, oh, that's a sign, but instantly your thoughts, your emotions, your consciousness doesn't shift to the who has supplied the sign or why you've got the sign, then it's probably not a sign. In my experience, if I see something and then instantly that person pops in my head, or one of my guides pops in my head, or a situation that I've been mulling over pops in my head, then I know that sign is there as some form of message or confirmation that correlates directly with those situations, because my consciousness, my subconsciousness has instantly shifted to that energy. If I see a sign and that doesn't happen, and then I'm like, oh, was that a sign? Wasn't it a sign? And I don't instantly know in a split second, then it wasn't a sign. It's just a happy coincidence. That for me is how I tell the difference. Because, we all have ego and we want the signs. The signs are bloody amazing. And if you have those moments of just crystal clear clarity, and signs like I've experienced, you'll want them every day because it is an amazing experience. But that is just the ego wanting. We don't need those signs every single day. Like, I know when my grandmother's energy is around. I know when my grandfather's energy is around. And they pulled out all the stops. Like, they did all the things, gave me the big show. And if I want that every single day, well, I need to ask myself why I need that every single day, because you don't, and they're not going to do it. Anyway, get off the bloody soapbox. I'll just have a quick sip. So with that all being said, I will get into I've had many signs, but I'm going to talk about the two significant events. And for the longest time, I've said it before, I'm one of those people that's like, I've been experiencing mediumship my whole life. And I have, but I'm not going to pretend that I engaged with mediumship my whole life. A large chunk of my adolescence was spent perfecting how to block it out. To the point where I spent a good probably 10 years of my life having no experiences, because I had got so good at just blocking everything out, and switching it all off, that it just didn't happen for a long time. And I had to kind of tap back into that, and was shown how to tap back into that. Anyway, so my grandfathers were a big part of that. They, after their passing, my first grandfather that passed would show up all the time, and I would be like, is it? Am I going mad? Is that what's happening? And I would question it all the time, because it was such a familiar feeling, because I experienced it when I was younger, but at the same time it was such a distant memory because I had switched it off for so long. And I was questioning all the time, and he was giving me so many signs, so many signs to be like, girlfriend, it's me, like, I'm here. To the point that I moved into a house just before I fell pregnant. And I moved into a house, and I was having those sensations. I kept sensing him. I kept thinking, is that him? Is that not him? My dog, I still have, but she doesn't live with me anymore. She's with her sister. A big, massive Great Dane Cross. She would wake up in the middle of the night and bark at the wall. And I'd be like, oh my God, here we go. It's all happening. The house that I moved into, I noticed on the wall in the garage, it was all an old house. There was asbestos everywhere. But on one of the asbestos walls was written all this, like measurements and what have you, and the name Ghioni, which is my surname, my Italian surname. Ghioni written on the wall. And I'm like, that's my surname. Why is that written on the wall? And then my grandmother at the time, who is this pop's wife, my grandmother at the time, like we're not anyway, you know what I mean. I was talking to her about it and I was like, the name Ghioni was written on the wall of this house. And she's like, well, what house is it? She was in the nursing home. And I told her and she said, oh, well, that's the house that Pop lived in when we first met each other back in the heyday. And he helped build that house. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? He did what now? So out of pure coincidence, I managed to find myself living in the house that my grandfather had helped build at the time when he had met my grandmother. I should tell you about their relationship, but nobody probably cares, but they're so cute. And I was like, okay, righty-ho. There we go. But at the time I didn't accept it as a sign. I know it now that it was a sign. It was his way of trying to get me to be like, ding, ding, hello, wake up. But I kind of didn't. And then I was finding that, you know, how I'd learnt to block everything out, it wasn't as strong as what it used to be. I was finding it a lot harder to block stuff out. And then I was starting to sense different energies that weren't my grandfather. And that was why I was trying to block it out again. He would show up and I would just say, Pop, nah, go away, please. Like, you're freaking me out. And he would linger a minute, but then he would go. And then when my other grandfather passed away, same sort of thing. He would linger a minute and then they would go. And this was happening for quite a while. And then years passed and I moved into a different house. And there was a energy in that house that wasn't my grandparents, wasn't my grandfather's. And I would be asking that energy, like I just put it out there, like, go away, you're freaking me out. And they wouldn't listen. And this was a very engaging spirit. They would literally move things around and it wasn't just me that had seen it. It was other people that had seen it. And I was experiencing those wave of emotions where you doubt your sanity and you start to think you're losing it, because you were literally seeing stuff physically move around you. And for the longest time I thought, oh, that's it. Okay, I need to tap out. Like, that's it. I'm done. I'm cooked. I've had enough. And it was that way for a while until other people that would be in the house would see it as well. And by that stage I had a little one and he was seeing things. But I knew that I wasn't in any kind of harm. They were just being annoying. They were just wanting to get my attention. And what I later found out was my grandfathers were there still because I could feel them first and then I would feel the other energy. And I would say to go away and they would remove themselves, but this presence would stay. And they were allowing this to happen and my guide was allowing this to happen in order for me to accept what was happening, which I eventually did. It was all of that experience that kind of kicked everything off. And I went and seen a medium around this time. And she basically just pulled the lid off it all and without any prodding from myself was like, you can do this too. The things that are happening in your home are to get your attention. You have your grandfathers around. Like, she was just bang on. And I was like, okay, thank you so much. That helps a lot. Which it really did in hindsight. But at the moment I was like, can you please just not tell me that? Can you tell me something else? And when I was leaving, it was like a psychic fair. And when I was leaving there, actually it was a little while later than that. I'd gotten home and I was at the supermarket, sorry. And when I was coming out of the supermarket, I noticed that 2 cars that went past had the same license plate numbers, like exactly the same, start to finish. I don't know if I should say it because it probably is someone's license plate number and I don't want people to go and look it up. But anyways, it was a license plate number. And 2 exactly the same, start to finish, same 3 letters at the front, 2 letters and a number at the back, 2 cars. And I remember seeing them and being aware of it. And I said to myself, I started laughing, and I could then sense my grandfather, my Woody grandfather. And I sort of started laughing and I was like, righto guys, it's going to have to be more than 2 bloody license plates. The absolute gall of me. Yeah, it's going to have to be more than 2 bloody license plates to get your girl to pay attention. Like, such a dick. And sure enough, I turned down the road. I was heading to my mum's, and I turned down the road towards her place. And I shit you not, there must have been 20 cars in that street, and it's quite a long street. Every single car in that street had exactly the same license plate number. Every single one. I'm getting chills just now thinking about it. I didn't know what was going on. I thought I had transcended the planet. I immediately was overwhelmed with emotion and started bawling. I was flabbergasted. I did not know what to do. I did not know what to think of it. All I knew was what I was seeing, and every single car, the cars parked, the cars that drove past, the cars that were stationary, any car that was on that strip was exactly the same license plate number. It was absolutely amazing. And at the end, I was shaking. I was bawling. I got to my mum's. It was actually Christmas Eve, and I was dropping yeah, it was too. It was Christmas Eve. And I was dropping stuff off at mum's, and she was like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I couldn't tell you even if I wanted to. You would lock me up. You would think I'd lost it. Anyway, I told her, and she was like, oh my God, that's bizarre. And I was like, yeah, I know. Thank you. And yeah, so I was laughing about it. It made my day. It was such an amazing experience. Later, after Chrissy and all the rest of it, Mum had gone and brought a car, and they'd decided on the car, tested it out, did the whole thing, and noticed what the license plate number was. And it was the exact same license plate number that I had told her, because I'd sent it to her. I've got it written down like 1,000 times because I do still see it occasionally now. And it was the exact same license plate number. And Mum was like, oh my God, Ronnie, that's her hubby's name. Oh my God, that is the exact same bloody license plate number. And it turns out that, like, she kind of told the story, God love her, to the car dealership guy. And he was like, oh yeah, well that would make sense. And Mum was like, what's he talking about? Makes sense what? Nothing makes sense anymore. He was like, that would make sense. That is, like, we had a whole fleet come out, and every car in the fleet began with that license plate number. And Mum was just like, do we really want this car? Is this the vehicle for us? Yeah, so that is one of those, like, amazing stories. And then from there, I was hook, line and sinker. Like, we went to a mediumship show, and the lady was up there doing the thing with the mediumship, and my mum was there, and I just said, look, I don't know how any of this stuff works, but Pop, if you are around and can come through tonight, that's it. Like, if that's what happens, then I will know head over that this is for me, and I will commit and do all the things and stop telling you guys to bugger off. Anyway, sure enough, he did come through, and he had messages for Mum, and it was really lovely and amazing, and it was another one of those really profound sign moments. And that was it for me. Like, I was in after that. I didn't question anymore anything that kind of came up mediumship wise. That's it. I dove right into it. I studied, I practiced. I have a book with, like, 1,000 readings in it that I'd done to practice and all the rest of it, and that's it. Ever since then, I was just like, okay, I'm a medium. This is real life. This is what we do now. Yeah, and it was absolutely amazing. And I've had experiences like that with other people now in readings. It's a big part of my mediumship. I label a lot, but I also don't like to label. So I know that there's evidential mediumship and there's all different types of mediumship. I guess you could say that it's evidential mediumship because I do like to bring in messages from spirit and messages from family members that are, thoughts people have rather than experiences that they've had, which that does happen as well. But yeah, I like to share that information as validation because that's the sort of validation I needed. So there's probably going to be people out there that need that level of validation as well. So yeah, there's that. And then when my grandmother passed, yeah, bless her heart, she didn't show up for ages, and her and I were very, very close. My sister as well, we were very, very close. We would go up there all the time and just listen to her stories about our family's history, all sorts of stuff. She's just an absolute petal, just a darling. When she passed, I couldn't feel her around me at all, and I was really surprised by that and kind of a bit PO'd, if I'm honest. I was like, why aren't you here? What's going on? She would pop in every now and then, but it would be for 30 seconds, no message, nothing, and away she would go. It was like, I'm here, and I just kind of went, okay, she's got stuff to do. There's other people that she needs to look after or help out, or she's busy, whatever. Sounds so dismissive, but, they don't think about things in the same way that we do. So she wasn't showing up. It wasn't because she didn't want to be around. It was just she had other shit to do. And that was fine for a long time. And I kind of subconsciously was a little bit, my ego took a bit of a hit, but otherwise it was fine. I'd grown to accept it. And one day there, I can't remember what had happened, but I just had a bit of a tower moment. I had a bit of a shit day. I can't remember what it was that had taken place to kind of put me in that space, but I was just in a funk, not having the best day. And I got in the car and I was driving somewhere. I can't even remember where I was going. And I had the shits. And I pretty much just said, bugger you, you cheeky bugger, you've left me for dead, you haven't shown up, you don't give a shit, all that, whingy, whiny, bratty kind of junk. That was my thought process. And then her favourite colour was yellow, and there was a lot of funkery that took place around her funeral that I won't go into, but she wanted everybody to wear yellow to her funeral. She loved canary yellow, loved it, yellow anything. And I was so buggered and I was getting teary and I was having a brat attack, and I turned around the corner. Again, why am I always driving in these scenarios? But anyway, I turned around the corner and her favourite colour was yellow, and everything that I seen, not everything, but I seen cars. There was a garden that just had yellow, I don't know what they are, flowers. I don't talk breeds of flowers. Yellow flowers all in it. Cars, trucks. There was a massive sign outside someone's house, and I don't even remember what was written on the sign. I think it might have been a construction thing. Canary yellow. Just freaking yellow everywhere. Everywhere I looked was just yellow. For the rest of the day, it would happen. I wouldn't see anything, and then there would be some display somewhere that was just this bright yellow everywhere. And not only was she, giving me a smack in the bum and telling me to pull my head in and stop being a brat, but she was also letting me know that she was present and around me. And I felt really comforted that day, and I did need her often. I think that's what it was. I think that's why I was so bratty about it. Because if I was having just a bad day or a funky day or something had gone wrong, I would go and see her, because she was just such a bright light. Like, she was so amazing, and you would go in to see her and she would pay you a compliment. And I mean, you could be in bloody sweats. You could have just been cleaning the bathroom and then called in for a cuppa, and she would have been like, oh, you look so lovely. Like, just a doll, and you know damn well you didn't look lovely. But she was just such a pedal. Yeah, and she just did that for me, and that was amazing. And like I said, it didn't need to be such a big, momentous gesture, but at the same time, my arrogant ass, it needed to be a big, massive gesture. I don't know. I don't know why, but it just did, the poor buggers. So they're kind of like my most significant ones. But then at the same time, you know, my grandfather, when he passed, he showed up as a magpie for us, which maybe I'll talk about another time. Yeah, he showed up that way for us, and now there are different times where we will see a magpie and we just know that that's what it is. Magpies kind of hang around our family. A lot of the times it's not, but it's easy for spirit to manipulate those energies, you know, because animals and whatnot, they're all love. It's easy for them to be like, hey, do this, or however they go about it. So that's another kind of sign. But anyway, I have yabbered on for ages. You guys must be getting tired. I absolutely want to know what signs you have been given, what signs you have seen, whether it's a penny, whether it's a critter, a creature, an animal, what have you, a picture falling off the wall. That's a big one that I hear all the time and shows up all the time in mediumship readings, actually, is people, spirit clanging around the house. Like, it's not just frighten us, it's not to get anybody afraid, it's to make you wake up and be like, hello, I'm here. That happens a lot. And like I said, you will know. You are your best judge. Don't let anybody tell you that what you've accepted as a sign isn't a sign. It's no one else's business. It's entirely up to you. You know within yourself, you know how it makes you feel in that moment. So you know what it is. It's as simple as that. There are some things, as much as we try and explain them away with logic, that can't be explained. They just simply are. And I think signs are a big part of that personal acceptance. So let me hear what yours are. Let me know on my post. There'll be a More Than Tarot post go up on my page soon. And you can, or any post, just send me a message, whatever. I want to hear what your signs are because I love these stories so much. I think they're pure magic. Anyway, with all that being said, I'll let you guys go. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I will be back soon to talk with you. You can find me at www.shannonghioni.com with links to everywhere else I be, all up in there. I love you guys. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll chat with you in the next one. Okay, bye. Thank you for listening to this month's podcast. If you're interested in any of my services or finding out more, you can do so by going to my website, shannonghioni.com.